Welcome back, Dolph fans. We're going to go over something today because going into the film breakdown, there's a lot of things being thrown around. And of course, a lot of people are going to try and sit there and nail the Dolphins to the coffin. And one of the things that's brought up is, now it's like Tua isn't clutch, which we've seen Tua bring us from fourth quarter deficits. But what I want you guys to understand, and this is a promise, it's a straight up promise to this fan base, that just watched Ryan Tannehill, go to the Titans and make the AFC Championship, and then we all sat there and were like, why couldn't he do that with us? I want to make a promise to all of you guys. Tua is going to do the same exact thing on another team. He's going to do the same exact thing. What's going to happen, and you'll see it in the film, is that he's going to get traded to another team, probably for nothing. And they're going to build an offensive line in front of him. They're going to get a wall. They're going to get complete wall in front of Tua. And they're going to give him some receivers, that aren't Smurfs. And I know people want to sit there and say that they designed this for Tua. No. You can still get a 6'2" guy that's as fast or close to being as fast as Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. It's not like everybody that's 5'9" is fast, and then everybody over 6 foot is slow. You are going to see a team that's going to look at a player that's 27 that, again, just like Kirk Cousins, Sam Darnold, all of these different players can be accurate, get the ball out quick, and, pretty much look at a defense and understand what he needs to do with the ball. And they're going to go, okay, we're going to draft and pay a crap ton of big 6'7" elite offensive linemen. We're going to put that in front of him. And we're going to allow him to have 4, sometimes 5 seconds to scan the field and just get the ball where it needs to go. Just like Peyton Manning, just like Tom Brady, just like Baker Mayfield, honestly. Just like all of these players that, again, you see, just like Baker Mayfield, people write them off in their own hometown. They get drafted, and the organization doesn't put the necessary tools in front of them. And I get it. You want to sit there and say Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Those are cool. But the necessary tools was you have a short, small quarterback. You get him an elite offensive line, and then you get him receivers. They're going to do that just like they did for Baker, just like they did for Sam Darnold, just like they did for, Geno Smith, just like they did for Peyton Manning, just like they did for Tom Brady, just like they did for Drew Brees, just like they did for all of these quarterbacks. And you guys are all Miami Dolphins fans. I'm telling you, you're all going to see Tua light it up somewhere else, and you're going to say the same thing just like you did with Ryan Tannehill. Why didn't he do that with us? Because most people don't understand that it's 11 players on the field, and it's not just one player on the field. And of course, Josh Allen is fantastic. He's the best quarterback in the league, I think. Tua's not that. He's not going to be that guy that's going to carry the team. But if you build an offensive line and give him weapons, he can take you to an AFC championship. He can take you to something like that. But the problem is what you're going to see in this film breakdown, that our offensive line sucks. Jonah gets beat on every play. Borum gets beat on pretty much every play. Keon Smith looks lost most of the time. The only 2 factors that were good, which they kind of got beat a couple times too, were Aaron Brewer and Patrick Paul. And to be honest, Paul got beat a couple of times. The offensive line sucks, per usual. And what happens, and including like what we're going to talk about, is that fourth quarter situation. There's nothing that any quarterback besides Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, or Patrick Mahomes can do about that scenario. There is absolutely nothing. He gets sacked within a second or a second and a half of hiking the ball. He gets sacked in these plays. He gets sacked on his last step in his drop back. He gets sacked. There's nothing you can do. There's no such thing as clutch in that moment. You have no option to do anything. He's getting hit right after he takes his drop back. Nothing you can do. And of course, again, he's not elite. He's not going to take off running for 20 yards, make a superhero play. He's not that guy. So a pocket passer, that play's done. You don't block or get in front of anybody. You don't give him any time to look at anything. Play's done. And that's what happened. So we'll get into it. All right, let's take a look at this film. This one was much better. It was much easier to watch this film breakdown versus, obviously last week. But, we're going to look at a couple things, and something that I want to, kind of back myself up on is that Tua's eventually going to go to a different team, and they're going to set up an offensive line for him. I thought that they played the Colts well, but I thought that the offensive line this week, it was, obviously you got what you're going to get from Larry Borum and what's his face? Keon Smith. You got what you got, it is what it is. They got destroyed. And, unfortunately, Jonah, he's a rookie, so he did not have a great game. Hopefully he bounces back from this. We need him to against the Bills, but it was just kind of not good all over the place. So we'll dive into the first play. You're going to see Tua in the shotgun. He's going to have Tyreek Hill go into motion, and pretty much, the thing with Tua, what you have to understand is you have to get him into, any quarterback, you have to get him into a rhythm first. So right here, the problem is that he's not in his rhythm yet. And I know it's a stupid thing to say, but he's not in the rhythm. He's getting ready to get hit by people. He has some good protection. This one, I think, was just not a good play by Tua. He started off kind of antsy and just didn't look right. He throws a Devon Achane. I think pretty much 3 other players were open on this play. You can see, Waddle's going to be open over here. You'll see, I think it's Tyreek Hill over here. Tyreek Hill over here. You kind of had everybody pretty much open. He just decides to take that one because he's a little antsy. Again, Tua is not an elite quarterback. I think we can all kind of rest assured that Tua is not the elite quarterback. But if you definitely set him up to win, he can. He's shown you that he can do that. So that's just the reality of the situation. You're going to see right here, it's going to be short left to Devon Achane, design Achane like screen, which is good to get Tua into the mold of things. This kind of helped him start, settling down. You need a completion that he got the one that he needed to get, and pretty much reset the game. This was after the penalty calling back an interception. Just looked like Tua was jumpy. He just is not ready or not that he's not ready. He just wasn't in the flow of things until later on in this game, which could bode well for Buffalo. It could bode well that he settled down in this game. Unfortunately, the last drive just wasn't it. And unfortunately, the offensive line kind of let everybody down right at the last drives. But as you can see here, kind of coming into the mold of things. And right here, you're trying to get some quick passes. Quick passes get the completion percentage up and allow him to gain a little bit of confidence. And that's what he does on these plays. This one, I think the first read was Alec Ingold. That's the thing. That's what you're trying to do with a quarterback like this. He's not Josh Allen. He's not any of those players. He needs a little bit of momentum to start getting him into the mold of trying to, throw the ball around. And just looks like this year, I think it has to do with the hip a little bit. Just looks like this year he just lost a little bit of something from that hip injury. He just doesn't seem to be exactly the same as last year. He looks slower. Just doesn't seem to be the same, but there you go. A little Tyreek Hill pass, and this is where he starts getting his confidence. He starts really kind of showcasing, the awareness and all that stuff that we know that he can do. Westbrook-Akine is starting to get engulfed into the offense. It's just, again, you have to start out with easy completions, getting Tua ready to play. That's kind of how it goes, and this is the other one. He gets easy completion, gets himself started, gets himself into the game, and then he's going to throw a tough one. This one's going to be a beauty. And this is what I think got Tua going. He was completing some of the passes. They were good, but This is what I think got Tua going, and this is what we all wanted to see. Jalen Waddle needs to be more involved in this offense because most of the time he's like this open a lot. They're just not looking at him, and this was a beautiful route by Waddle. You're going to see right here, he's going to get pushed to the inside on press coverage, and he's just going to kind of battle around it and then shoot out that way and just use his speed to beat the corner, and it was pretty much just a beautiful play by the two. Like I said, I just don't understand why this stuff doesn't happen more because it just doesn't make sense. You have Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. It's not just Tyreek Hill. This one's going to be a deep out to Tyreek Hill, like a 15-yard out. And it's pretty, man. He saw the coverage. It was great pass, different levels, good play call. It was really good. Really good. Again, see, Tua can't make that throw consistently, but if it's there, he can make it. It's just, again, I kind of feel like after some of these injuries, man, he's lost some of the velocity and he's lost, some of the zip on his ball. Because I'm telling you, I remember watching Tua a couple years ago. I remember watching the Jaguars game back when he was with Brian Flores. I think it was his second year in the league, first year he was starting. I remember seeing some of the zip on the ball that, I just think you have too many hip injuries. It's hard to throw that ball like he used to, and especially coming off of, I don't even know what he had last season. I don't know what happened to his hip. Just know that he had a hip injury. I think these things take toll on your quarterback. This is going to be a beautiful pass to Devon Achane through the middle, and that one, I thought that was a crazy hit. I was very happy that Devon Achane got up because that looked like it would have been bad. Beautiful pass. Beautiful pass, beautiful play. And this is where Tua starts doing his thing. Tua starts really doing his thing, and he's going through reads. This is where people say he can't go through reads. He can. It's just he doesn't have the offensive line to do that. And again, he's not a Josh Allen. He's not a Lamar Jackson. He's not going to make those plays. But if you just have this is what pisses me off so much, because when you watch this game, again, we're going to see, I promise you all, we're going to see another Ryan Tannehill effect. This one's going to be worse, though, because Ryan Tannehill never had any, like, I'm going to be real with you, he wasn't as good as Tua. Ryan Tannehill wasn't as good as Tua. And what I know is going to happen, because everybody wants Tua gone, is you're going to find a team that's going to build a wall in front of him. This is a beautiful Devon Achane run for a touchdown. Guy was incredible. He's been the only, this game, well, I guess Waddle and everybody showed up, but Devon Achane has been trying to push to keep us in the game. Again, you run that concept a lot. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. So you're going to have a team that's going to put a wall in front of Tua and just allow him to throw the ball all over the yard. And I think, a lot of people want to say, like, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are designed for him. No, I highly, it's, you have short receivers because of the type of plays that you want to run with your coach. And yes, you got him short, fast receivers because of, his accuracy and all that stuff. But it's much easier to throw the ball to a 6'3" guy that can go up and get it versus this is what I don't get about some of the people that watch Tua, is they make stuff up like they haven't seen it before. Tua's fit the ball into very small spaces. It doesn't, and it's not spaces because Tyreek Hill is running. Unfortunately, this was a pass that was underthrown, but again, this is a hard throw to make. And this was something that, of course, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, these guys, they have rockets for arms. Tua's not going to do that. But if you look at this, it's at the 20-yard line, and the ball comes down at the 30-yard line, which means he threw the ball 50 yards off his back foot. So like I said, again, it's a promise to all of you Dolphin fans that don't like him, that you want something that is extremely hard to get. It's like someone. This is what I think it is with Tua, with the Dolphins. It's like someone getting a scratch off, and they made $100, but they didn't make 1,000. So instead of taking the $100, they're like, I'm just going to throw this lottery ticket away because I wanted 1,000. I don't want 100. That's what it seems like with Tua. Yes, you don't have the best quarterback in the league. Yeah, 100%. It's acknowledged. But you have a quarterback that you can do stuff with if you put him in the right position. But you don't. You really don't. And that's the problem. Again, those sales that go over Tyreek Hill and all that, Jamar Chase catches that. Justin Jefferson catches that. Who else? Keenan Allen catches that. Who's another receiver? Julio Jones catches that. Marvin Harrison catches that. And this is not a knock on Tyreek Hill. It's just, again, you have to understand the type of player that it is where you have to be extremely accurate. You have to. You can't just throw the ball up because he can't get it. Who's another receiver? Drake London catches that. Calvin Ridley catches that. These are all players that, if you did want to build around Tua, you build a wall and you get someone like that where he can throw the ball in a position where he doesn't need to be completely accurate every single time. But they haven't, and it is what it is. Again, like I said, it's going to be a promise. We'll shake on it. He's going to go to a team, and he's going to ball out because they're going to put an offensive line in front of him, and they're going to give him receivers that aren't 5'8", and he's going to do his thing. Or, even better, they're going to get him a 5'9" receiver and a 6'2" receiver. So he has a good combination of the two. Not every single one of them is, half everyone's size. I digress. Praise God, love God. He's great all the time. Fins up, baby. Peace.